Welcome to Middle Fingers Up, the show where we hold our heads high and our middle fingers higher. I'm your host, Kieran McKay. Today, I'm excited to sit down with Alfred Kainga, the 2023 Breakout Comedian of the Year. He's also been part of the 2024 Black Film Festival. Alfred has been making waves in the comedy scene, coming from Zimbabwe all the way to Dallas, Texas. I personally knew I had to reach out to Alfred as soon as I saw him perform at a recent comedy show here in Calgary. He flew down. He was a headliner. I've never seen an audience laugh that hard. I personally cannot believe I laughed so hard too, because it takes a lot to laugh out loud a lot these days. Nothing really, surprises us. So here's to hoping we get to laugh like that again today, just so you guys get a taste of who Alfred is all about. Welcome, Alfred. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Well, Karen, thank you so much for having me. How's it going?
Well, we're doing good here in Calgary. How are you guys doing? Do you have family, friends dealing with a hurricane out there? Is everybody okay?
Well, I got a good friend of mine who's a comedian by the name of Sean Harris. He's stuck down there in Houston, and yeah, it's rough, But I told him, bro, swim, swim. Get in that water and swim your way to Dallas. I mean, ain't nothing else I can do for you, So
he probably could. He probably could swim his way. I bet you, right? It's oh my gosh,
that's everywhere.
That's crazy.
So he was telling me that even the stores, they're asking them to bring nothing but cash. Cards are not working because there's no power. You got to bring cash. So it's really crazy.
It's like old school days.
But we find out here in Dallas, it's just hot. It's just super hot.
What's it? How hot is it out there?
Well, I think today was 98, 99.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
Do you have AC? You must have to have AC, right?
It's a must.
Yeah.
It's an essential. Yeah. Every home comes with it, or else, look, you'll be passed out,
Yeah.
People don't realize, when I came from Africa, I was light-skinned.
Yeah.
Dallas heat did this to me.
This is how you became so tan. Yeah.
Listen.
I love this. Oh, this is awesome. I'm glad to hear you're safe, and hopefully your friend is going to be okay and he doesn't have to swim. Okay, so I'm glad the safety check is over. That's good. I just thought I'd do that. I also want to start with congratulating you. I've been on your socials. People should follow you. You were the 2023 Breakout Comedian of the Year. Can we start there? Tell us about this win, because I kind of feel like this win has done some wonders for you as I've been following you.
Absolutely. It really has. So what happened last year is I entered into a competition. And, I've been doing comedy. Let me take you back. I've been doing comedy now for 19 years. Yeah. Right. And so, started right here in the Dallas scene. And, as comedians, we do competitions here and there. And I've done a few of them, some local competitions, some statewide. And then one of the big ones that I entered in, the last one that I did was the Shaq All-Star Comedy Competition, right? With Shaquille O'Neal putting that competition together. He was looking for the next generation of stars to put on a tour. And they were looking for one person. I missed that in the semifinals and I lost. So at that point I was fed up. I said, you know what? I'm not going to pursue competitions anymore. I'm just going to focus on my craft, get into, comedy clubs and getting on tour and working. So last year, around April, they announced this Breakout Comedian. This competition used to be called the American Black Film Festival Comedian of the Year. So they changed it to Breakout Comedian of the Year. And so I entered it in. I was like, okay, let me just give it a shot. Because the carrot was nice. There was a $20,000 grand prize. But the most important thing was getting signed by a Hollywood agent.
Yeah.
To me, that was major. So that was the reason that I looked at that. Yeah, the money was great. But the fact that you get to work with the professionals in the industry who can take your career to another level is what I had been missing.
Right.
I needed that, So I entered the competition. Next thing you know, they called us and they said, we got some rounds to go through. Got to go to LA for some semifinals. Started off with, I think, 16 comedians. And from 16, we had to duke it out to 6 remaining comedians in the finals. And so they flew us out to D.C. finals in front of almost 2,000 people. And DC Young Fly is the host. So it was a big event. Major comedians were in the house, and we just went toe to toe, joke for joke. And next thing you know, they said, Alfred won. And I was blown away,
So you were surprised.
Well, I felt like I knew it. Once you perform, once you do your thing, I really felt very confident in what I had done. But that's not to take away anything from the comics who were on the show, because they were super funny. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you got to bring your AAA game, and just for me on that one particular night, I was ready and I got it, So here we are.
Well, congratulations, because you won, because you're touring, you caught the eye of our comedian that I have had on recently, Grand Commander. He had put on a show. You were the headliner. And it was really cool to sit there and think, oh my gosh, you get to go on tour, you get to win this thing. And all of this is happening because you are so skilled. So can I ask you, when you did that comedy, the Breakout Comedy Festival, was there a particular bit or something that you had said that you think got you that win? Was there more laughs about something in particular?
So every comic got 10 minutes. So, they prepped us, right? Like you go to the semifinals, 10-minute set. And you go to the finals, it's going to be another 10-minute set. So I just knew I just needed to bring that best 10 minutes that would captivate the audience, captivate the judges. And that, believe it or not, that same set that I did in LA in the semifinals is the same set I took to the finals, because I just knew it was going to be a different audience altogether. And I do an hour set when I'm on the road, when I'm headlining. But that's my first 10 minutes that I do. That's my intro. I basically introduce you to who I am. I'm an African dude, and I'm going to hit you with, all those punchlines about me coming from America. I'm coming from Africa to America when I was skinny.
Yeah.
And I gained weight now, so I get into it and I hit it hard. And you can't help but be like, wow.
Like the papers, when you talk about the papers, all of that, I think so many people from so many different communities can relate. And I think that's what your humor is. It's so relatable. It's like people are living this every day. And okay, so tell me, if we go backwards, then like a little boy in Zimbabwe growing up, were you always funny? When your community looks back, are they like, okay, we knew he was going to be a comedian? Or like, who were you as a little guy? How did you get to this place?
So I grew up in a very Christian-based family, but it was also very fun. It was a fun family. So I really was the entertainer in the family. I love to sing, I love to dance, and it just took me to high school. I think high school is where I really developed my comedic skills, because I went to an all boys high school in Zimbabwe, which was like one of the best high schools in Zimbabwe, right? So with boys, an all boys situation, you got to be extremely witty, you got to come with it, So I sharpened my skill there. But we were also very exposed to international television. We grew up watching British sitcoms and American sitcoms. So I would take some of those lines that I would listen to on TV shows and take them back to school, make people laugh, but I never thought of it as a career, right? I was the guy who was leading the school war cries, just being silly, being goofy, having fun. I would get lashed for being stupid in school, for being funny. We had corporal punishment. Right?
Yeah, of course. Because that's what I thought was like in our community, some similarities in our communities is, I know growing up too, like you're just being funny is not considered a skill or anything good. Right. It's like you're goofy. No one's going to take you seriously. Right. And so you're innocent shoved away early on. So that's why I'm like, how did that, how did you keep that? Because you brought it all the way across the, the world.
Brought it all the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I got here, I was in college and, I just kept my personality. And so my college friends and my workmates were like, dude, you're really funny. Have you ever thought about getting on stage? And then that's when the light bulb hit, like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, I can get on stage. I can do this. And so it took me a while to get acclimatized. with the environment. And after moving here, I think I got on stage for the first time ever in 2005. And funny story there, but that's how.
Okay, well, tell us. What is the story? Did you bomb? Did you do well?
After I mustered all the courage, right? My friends telling me, man, call them, man. Do your thing. You'll be funny, really, Alfred. So I called this one particular comedy club right here in Dallas. It was called Hyenas in Arlington. It's shut down now. And because I'd heard they're the ones who do open mic. So I called the guy. I said, hey, I'm really funny. I would like to come out there and do my set. And he said, okay, open mic is every Wednesday. You can come out, you sign up, you go up, and you do 3 minutes. I was really offended, Karen. I said, 3 minutes? I said, listen, I'm funny, man. I'm making people laugh out here. I need 30. That guy was on the end of the phone like, son, have you ever done comedy in your life? And I said, no, but I'm good. He said, no, bro, you get 3 minutes. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I write my set. I'm practicing the whole week. I got a clock right there on my chest, and I'm practicing. Every time it hits 3 minutes, I'm like, yes, I got it. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I got it, right? Following Wednesday, I go out there early. 6 o'clock, I'm there. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. Oh, you should have seen me. I was dressed to the T. I didn't know. I didn't know it's open mic. I'm coming to do a show here. Okay?
Yeah. Everyone's there to see you, of course.
What? Yeah, I got my whole ensemble, So I signed up. Next thing you know, I didn't realize this. If you're new in the comedy game, just because they say sign up and you go up does not mean you sign up and you go up, because you got senior comics who will come at 8 o'clock. Some will come at 9, and you keep getting bumped. I got there at 6 o'clock in the evening. I got on stage finally at 12:30.
Oh my goodness.
30 minutes past midnight. But I was still sitting there. But now look, the room started off with about 50, 60 people, full room. By the time I get on stage, maybe 6, 7 people laugh.
And they're probably so drunk too, I would imagine, by that time, right?
And half of them were the staff who works there. But still, I was determined. I said, I'm going to go up and I'm going to do my thing. My name was called. I got up on stage. That whole 3 minutes that I've been practicing all throughout the week, right? As soon as those lights hit me, I just hit it. Got through with my set, and I got a couple of laughs and a few, chuckles, and I felt good about it, because I'd gone through everything that I had practiced. I get off the stage. I went to the back where the manager was standing. I said, hey, man, how did I do? He said, how did you do? You got 2 more minutes left.
You did.
I said, what? He said, yeah, I thought you said you had 30 minutes. I said, you mean all that stuff that I did it in 60 seconds? So it was just an awakening for me. Like, there's so much to learn in this business.
You should be in the rap game, maybe. That's where you need to be. If you can do your bit that fast, right?
That's fast. So I was nervous, and I didn't know how to time myself. So that's why I knew, okay, I'm here to learn. So I'm right here on the foundation. Let's go. And I stuck with it. Yeah. And here we are today.
Yeah, look at where you are today. Like looking back, do you have highlights, things or moments where you feel you continue to bring along with you on stage that have taught you and how to sharpen your craft?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had a situation where different settings prepared me, because when you're starting out, nobody knows who you are. So you're trying to get stage work at any place you can get. I did a country bar one time where they play country music with a country band. And the guy said, I'll give you 15 minutes during the recess. Listen, I got up on that stage. I didn't even know how to get this audience together. They didn't even give a damn about me, man. It's like they came to listen to country. And, and I remember Redneck yelling, he ain't even funny. I mean, and it shook me, and I was like, man, maybe I need to go back and find a job. This is not working. But I was new in the game. And then, it got to a point where I finally got, discovered by Kevin Hart, and then puts me on Comedy Central. And like, wow, that's one of those things where you ever forever look back and say, that helped me with my career so much.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's Kevin Hart. And I saw the cute little clip of you I don't know if it was a podcast or a radio you were on, you were being interviewed and you talked a little bit about your story. And like you have Kevin Hart laughing, hitting his hand on, and you're like, oh my gosh. So you even mentioned when you were part of the festival that you won at, there was big comedians. So what's it like having the Kevin Harts? You've interviewed with Cedric the Entertainer. Like when you interview with these big performers that you looked up to, what's that like sitting in a room with them or they're laughing at your work?
It's like a stamp of approval, It's like, the big brothers are patting you on the back. Like, dude, you're doing it. You're funny, because you don't have to pay them, right? You can't do that. Either you're funny or you're not. So when you see that happening, my gosh, it's validation for us. It's like, okay, I'm in the right direction. This is what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, getting the likes of, Kevin Hart, Cedric, all these guys, Bill Bellamy, Capone, these guys that I've worked with, they're huge, and they've just believed in me. And I'm like, my gosh, man, this is crazy because I would have never dreamt of it. I started believing it. But, when I was growing up, I never imagined that it would come to this,
What was comedy like, or how was comedy viewed back home growing up? Because I know you said you were part of a funny family, but was that generally part of the culture? You guys grew up watching a lot of international TV. What was happening locally on the scene for you guys?
So there was absolutely no stand-up comedy whatsoever.
Right.
None. Yeah, there was, theatric comedy, theater, dramas, stuff like that, but nothing stand-up.
Yeah.
So here's what blew my mind. So I'll tell you this. This is how it was so different. When I was growing up, we would watch, Seinfeld, Martin, In Living Color, all that stuff, right? The Benny Hill Show from England, the Desmonds from England. And only for me to get here is when I realized, wait a minute, all these guys that I loved on TV actually started out as stand-up comedians. We didn't know that. Because we never watched stand-up comedy. There was nothing of such, So it blew my mind. I was like, my gosh, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, Jerry Seinfeld, these are all stand-up comics. So I was like, okay, I got it. I got to do this. This is what I'm supposed to do because I loved acting. I loved making people laugh. So I just knew I would be so good at it. I just knew it.
Yeah. Well, we all know when we see it, when we hear it, even how you tell a story, because your job is really about telling stories. And making people connect somehow. And the trick is when it's a really inappropriate story, you have to really, I bet, think about where's the punchline here? Because this can go so many ways. And comedians, you guys are always pushing the envelope with all the big issues. Even when you talk about building the wall, you have everyone in there laughing, and everyone in that room, maybe with the exception of a couple people in there, like would connect to that, right? And so you have these ways of telling your stories that I just think you just relate. There's a lot of validation in the way that you make fun of yourself, or like, first of all, how brave do you have to be? You get invited by the Nigerian community, and more than half of your set is about your trip to Nigeria and the things that you're learning about the airport, the food, and all those things. And I'm watching the folks, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's a real art to be able to make someone laugh when you're making fun of, in a cute way, their own community about themselves without offending, right? And so that's not easy to be done. So you've named some comedians. Do you have like the comedian or a couple that you feel heavily have influenced you in your work?
My gosh, I guess it's just so many, but Bernie Mac is right there at the very pinnacle, because the guy could tell a story and put so many details that you are cracking up every 5 to 7 seconds, with one story, so many details. And I love that. You're painting a picture so that everybody sees what you're talking about as you're talking about it.
Right.
The milk and cookies jokes with his little nieces. I mean, it's just hilarious the way that you paint that picture. So I love it. So that's where, I think I drove most of my inspiration is, the best of the best like that. Right now, I'm fascinated with Bill Burr, Andrew Schultz, just the way that they tell stories, the way that they paint pictures. Ali Sadiq, So yeah, so many.
There's so many.
Great. Yeah.
And that's probably the cool thing, is that it's a culture where there's so many different ways to tell a story. So you can learn from the Jerry Seinfelds and the Dave Chappelles and everyone else in between. You don't have to have one standard way of performing, which is cool. And that's why I was like sitting there when I was watching you and thinking about you after. I was like, I wonder who your influences are, because sometimes you can tell when you are listening to a comedian, you're like, oh, this comedian loves, you can tell so-and-so, right? But I was just like, this must be his personality, because you're so animated, and you take that story and you deliver it so eloquently that it's hard not to laugh. So I have a couple more questions for you. What venue do you dream to perform at?
Woo! Okay, so I've already checked that box already, having performed at the Apollo in New York. The historic Apollo, But I think Madison Square Garden would take the cake.
Wow.
Yeah. Madison Square Garden.
Have you seen someone perform there?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Yeah, I was curious.
Not yet.
That's a big one.
But I know the one African comedian who has been able to do that in our lifetime was Trevor Noah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very successful, right? He had a great tour. Yeah, he came through all over Canada. So you're like, oh, we don't get all of you famous people over here. We're not so lucky all the time to get you guys. Yeah. So even Taylor Swift doesn't come to all of our towns and cities, So when you get celebrities, you're like, oh, this is great to have that. It's so big because the art scene is a wonderful way to know that your community is thriving. When you have performers and all sorts of different, right? Singing, acting, whatever it may be, comedy. And I think the more we have hungry performers, like new people making their way, it just builds a different kind of energy within your community. And I think it inspires locals as well to think, okay, even how you and I started before our recording, I got such a nice vibe from you. And I'm like, this is so cool to sit with you. You're so successful, but you have such a humble, you got your beautiful daughter helping you get your stuff together, absolutely. Right? And so I'm like, this is so cool to sit with you and get to know the human side of you, because we get lost when we see people performing. We think that's who they are. Like, how would you describe who you are outside of being on the stage? Would you be the same sort of man, or are there some differences? Are you quiet? Are you serious?
I definitely have a serious side to me, when I'm at home and I'm handling business, but still, I'm that type of person who always looks at the glass is always half full. So even if the chips are down, I'm still looking at it in a positive way. Like, man, there's something positive about this. That's why I'm able to tell even the negative stories and make them so funny after a while. Because it's like, at the end of the day, let's just laugh about it. Because if it ain't killed us, then we're okay, right?
Yeah.
So, there's so much going on in this world that if you allow it to just boil you down, it will kill you. So let's just laugh about it. And so, you got to have, I call it relaxed intensity. I'm relaxed, but I'm intense at the same time. You know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think that's great for our mental health. Okay, so let's do our middle fingers up segment. I hope you remembered. I was going to ask you to share something that you can put your middle fingers up to. It can be something little, something funny, or, you have an opportunity to say whatever it is that you want to.
Let's put our middle fingers to this heat.
Fucking heat.
Woo, it's blazing, man. I'm telling you. You can't even do nothing out here. So you got to wait till 8 o'clock at night to be able to go take a walk. So I'm like, it is hot, and people always talk about, but it's hotter in Africa. No, it's not. Not this kind of heat.
You feel a difference, eh? Because then if that's what people say, that's interesting. Well, it's hot over there, and you're like, well, that doesn't help me. It's hot here too. Like,
and you know what? It's those people who ain't never been there before who try to tell you how hot it is out there. Like, oh, really now? Oh, tell me about your experience over there. Huh?
Yeah, when was the last time you were vacationing in Africa? Please tell us. Yeah, what resort did you stay at? Yeah, middle fingers to that. Because it is hot. I mean, I can't compare to the Texas heat. I've been to Houston a few times, And I don't know why, but we went in July last year. Woo! And you can't. Everything sticks. Everything's still, and you can't function at all. So yeah, I hear you. Middle fingers up to that for sure. I have a middle fingers up today too. I don't know, and I think it's funny because it's about a show that's from your community. I don't know if you've watched the Netflix special on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Have you seen that on Netflix? No. Oh my God, you're like, why would I watch it? Good for you to not waste your time. But I did it. And when you have these stupid shows, you watch them, then you get sucked into it. And my kids are crying for me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm lost to binge watching now for the next few days. You will not have a mother because I'm going to be on the couch watching this show. And it's disgusting and it's sad. And my middle fingers are going up to the fact that we continue to push these beauty standards on these women that are like 18, 20, 24. It's so bad that they think that their life is over at 24, 25 when they're done doing their residency or whatever you want to call it as a cheerleader. And honestly, like you watch their auditions, it's harder to become a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader than the actual football player, I feel. Like there's no way the football players have to go through what these women have to. And it always comes down to one thing, what they look like. There's a stereotype. They talk about it. They look for it. And I'm watching this and I'm watching it because I'm like, this is like, middle fingers up. I could keep talking about it, but middle fingers up to these unrealistic beauty standards that these women are like just eating disorders and all these sorts of things that they're accumulating because that for 30 seconds at a time, the stand, right, is going to look at you. Yeah. And it's like a cult. It feels like I'm watching a show about a woman's cult.
Wow.
It's so it's just like, like they will freeze frame your shot after, let's say you were cheerleading at a game. And then, football players have Monday morning notes after a game and they do the same for the cheerleaders and they will look at the video of them and say, okay, you can't wear that makeup. You have to fix your hair. You have to polish your smile better. And I don't know. I could never survive. Like there's no way I could live in a world like that.
And I think I heard they only make like, what, $125 a game?
Yeah, they make like $15, $20. This is not their full-time job. Some of them are nurses. Some of them are doctors, salespeople. They have all sorts of different jobs that they do every day, all day. And then they dedicate 8+ hours almost a day to be the cheerleader of this team as well. And then they think their life is over. Like the statement one of the girls made was, I'm losing in the game of life. I'm so late to everything. And I'm like, she's 25. So, but they age you so quick. So, right. So if you have to retire at such a young age as a cheerleader, then you think you're done. Like you think, well, now I've peaked.
So now at 25, they feel like they're old. I'm old now. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, your life is just beginning.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here 43 yelling at the TV, being like, you have no fucking idea, man. You're 20. Yeah. Go live your life. Go everywhere in the world. Have sex with everyone that you can. Do everything you possibly. Yeah, go enjoy your life. Exactly. Eat whatever you want. Like you're in your 20s, you are immortal. You can survive it all in your 20s. So yeah.
Absolutely.
It's sad. So it's my youngest son, I have 2 boys. My youngest was kind of watching it with me. And then he's like, this is weird, Mom. So I'm like, okay, you sit down. This is because of you guys that this is happening. So let's break some barriers in our house here. It's not what you should be expecting of girls, women, those identify as that, right? It's like brutal. Yeah. So my youngest son is like, this is whack, Mom. I can't watch this. It's a lot. I know. So he was like, is this a reality? Is this real? I'm like, no, it's a documentary. He's like, this is real? This isn't fake TV? I'm like, no, it's not like Selling Sunset. This is real. So like, what are the beauty standards like in Zimbabwe? Like, what would that be growing up? Like, how are women viewed there?
Man, I think things have changed now because of the internet
and,
social media. Oh, my gosh. I think the standards have just been, put on the same level now. Like everybody wants to wear these, crazy, ridiculous outfits, makeup, the hair, the prestige, the brand names, right? Either, you look whack if you don't have your Gucci and your Louis Vuittons, idolizing the material things. But, the beautiful thing about it is that's not everybody, right? So we still have, women out there and guys who don't idolize those things. But yeah, TV and the Western world has definitely played a major influence on the rest of Africa now. It's like, wow, this is not how we grew up,
Totally. It's so interesting to hear that, because it's caught up, and it, on one hand, they're like catching up and even advancing, but on the other hand, it's sad because it's a
taken away from your culture.
Yeah. That's just it. That Western Eastern thing that I always find myself stuck in too is, for you, was it that way? Like, you immigrate here, and did you have a community or whatnot when you came out? Because you weren't coming out to be a comedian. You were coming out to go to school. Were you like coming out to be an engineer or lawyer or doctor? Like, what did your mom expect you to be when you grew up? One of those things, right?
So there was absolutely that's every African household or East Indian or whatever. You are supposed to become either a nurse, a doctor, an engineer, something. Get into data science. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly, right.
But when I got here, we didn't have a community because we were so far. We were in a small town called Gainesville, Texas. That's where I was, and I think there was about 4 Africans on the whole campus, So that was our community. That's how we became friends. And, it was just, so we really got assimilated into the whole Texan culture, the American culture. And it was just like, that's what we did, First Thanksgiving, they're like, yo, you can't have Thanksgiving by yourself. You coming over to our place. So I'm like, what is Thanksgiving? We really didn't know what it was. And now we got a big turkey, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all this food. So now I'm like, oh shoot, I'm taking 3 plates to go, So.
Do you ever feel bad or guilty, or like, how do you process that in your head? Like, I was born and raised in it. And like the difference I would say is you're older, you come here, you're more aware of what's happening, I would imagine, as you're assimilating, because you're trying to belong. Yeah. For me, I didn't realize I was born into it. So I didn't realize that that's what happened. I wanted to be a white girl so bad. It just evolved to something else. And now I'm going backwards in my 40s. Like, okay, I got to get back to my roots. I got to wear my hair curly, like stop straightening it. All these things that we did, and we don't realize that we're doing these to be so Western. And there's some things that are great. Like I know I talk about the gaps, and sometimes I complain a lot about the Western world, but it's been good to me. I know that. For you, like, do you ever look back, and are you ever like, do you ever feel bad about some of that, or how do you manage that? And then again, how do you raise your daughter who's also born into that culture? Yeah.
So it was different, man. It was really tough because, at 19 years old, you come into a foreign land, you're leaving your family behind, you're all by yourself, you're leaving everything that you know behind. So yeah. It was tough sometimes, you know what I mean? It was very interesting. You are trying to assimilate, but then at the same time, you're like, wow, man, my family's not here to see this, to enjoy this. It's different. If I was back home right now, we would probably be doing A, B, C, and D, which is very different from what I'm doing right now, So it took a while to adjust, and you never really fully adjust because it's still a part of you is still missing, or is still back home. You wish you were there. You wish you were with your people. And you really feel it when you go home to visit. The toughest time is when you're leaving to come back. Yeah. Because it's like, man, I felt like, this was dope. But so now that I'm a father and my child has been born, here in America, and, just trying to teach the little things about my culture to her. We cook the meals together. She loves the African dishes that I make, teaching her my language, so all those things, man, they're very important. But, at the same time, you still got to remember, yeah, she is American. This, I can't give her the whole African experience at the end of the day. Yeah. Because if I did, I'll tell her, no shoes when we walk to the swimming pool, you walking barefooted, play outside until 6 o'clock at night. It's different because now they got to be like, Daddy, where's my iPod? So.
It's so different. Yeah. And it sounds like you're balancing it well. And I obviously you have the skill because you're a comedian, you're an observer. I think that's like one of the biggest traits we see in all of you. You guys watch what's happening and and put it into your bits. So that's a great skill to have, I think, as a parent, because it's a sense of awareness. You get what your experience is like. You understand that your daughter's is going to be different. And, we don't own our children as we learn. Only when we become a parent, we're like, oh yeah, crap, we don't own our children. Yeah. And so I think that's a balanced way, because we're figuring that out too at home here too. Like, how do you help the kids balance what cultures are from, as well as honor the fact that they are from here, this part of the world. But sometimes we get lost in it, and sometimes someone says something and you're like, that's it. You're fully Indian now. That's it. Today we only listen to Indian music, and that's it. Yeah, that's it.
And I gotta tell you something about Zimbabwe. I don't know if you know this, but we had an extremely large Indian community. Oh. Absolutely. So the high school that I went to was very diverse. We had, obviously our Black Africans, and we had the white students, but we also had Indian, boys, the Patels, and the Sikhs, So it was really dope, because that's how I knew about, masala tea and the curry powders and the curry dishes, So it was huge, huge, huge. One of my very good friends, his name was Faisal Materia, was an Indian dude. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so cool.
So I grew up knowing that. So in my high school, we knew, different sports belonged to different races, right?
Yes, okay.
So soccer, football was the black boys, and a few white boys here and there. Rugby was all the white boys and the big black boys. Cricket was the Indian boys. And badminton and squash, anything with a stick. I don't know what it is with you Indian folks. Your sport got to have a stick in the hand. You can't play nothing without a stick.
And you know what? It's the same thing when we get beat. There's always a stick in our mom or dad's hand. So I don't know. We love our sticks. I don't know what it is. It's a good point. Yeah. Wooden spoons all around. So, oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about, before we wrap up, first of all, advice. I want to know if there's people that out there trying to, in their own community, look, you're paving the way for your community. And I don't know if you're acknowledging that as much as you do or not. But I hear a lot of, like you said, you're one of the first from your community to do what you're doing, and you're representing, and representation is very important. And so I think congratulations to that. Congratulations to people like Grant who are doing the same thing, trying to pave a new way. And I think if there's other people from a minority community trying to get into comedy or trying to get out there in the entertainment world and don't live in the world of nepotism, what advice do you have? What feedback do you have for people to keep that hunger, to keep going?
If you got that dream, believe in yourself. See it manifesting into your vision, into fruition, and don't ever let anybody tell you can't do it. That's it. And that anybody can be your family members, can be your friends, can be a stranger. Don't let anybody ever tell you cannot do it. I remember when I first started doing comedy here in Dallas, there was one guy who was doing really well back then. He had made a couple of TV appearances. And one day I'm at an open mic and he came up to me and he said, I don't think this is going to work for you. You probably need to do shows at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh my God. Wow. Hey?
Now, here we are years later. He's not doing comedy anymore. He's faded out. And bam, here I am. Now, had I taken that word, I would be doing dumb puppet shows at a Boys and Girls Club. You hear me?
No, crazy. I don't think any kids would be hanging out with puppet shows and you. I can't even imagine that. No, that's not for you. You don't know. Yeah. But you know what? I think that's a sad thing. And your story is an example of this happens. Competition versus collaboration. We see something good in someone and automatically we think we're insecure, we're not good enough. And instead of rising people and thinking this guy's success can also help me as well. Especially if we're coming from those minority communities, you have someone that's making it in comedy wherever, that's a huge win for your community. That's about representing. And when people try to stop that or get in the way, I don't know, man, that's your own shit. And karma, right? Yeah. Come back. And you know there's no hunger there because anyone that has ever been hungry and had to fight for it, they would say what you're saying, which is keep doing it, keep fighting for it. Like don't stop because you know that guy, you probably owe him a thank you because of him. Look at where you are.
Absolutely. Hey? Absolutely. That's very true. That's very true. So everybody belongs, right? There's something special that you are giving, Karan. There's something special that I'm giving. So we all have our space.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why we all have different fingerprints, because we are different. We're filling in a different gap. So run with it.
Well said. I love it. Okay. So is there anything today that like you wish I had asked, or that, you know, you want to go get into or talk about that maybe we didn't cover?
Gosh, I think we covered stuff that I didn't even think we were going to talk about. So this was pretty cool. Very, very refreshing, because, you know, sometimes you go, you know, through these interviews, these podcasts, and they end up being the same. But this was cool because you were definitely engaged. You're giving your opinion. You're giving, you know, your stories. And I like that. So we dug deep. So, yeah, this was cool. I
love that. That means you're going to come back. So that's great. Now you're like hooked. Too bad. I'm like fungus. I grow and I don't leave. So you're stuck with me.
Okay, with it.
How about two things? We're going to do a call to action. So something that the people listening today, if there's only one thing that they heard you say or one thing that they take from this, what would you want that to be for them?
Well, I would say hopefully that, you know, you dream big, you act big, you will get big, you know. Don't ever limit yourself. It's unbelievable the things that I've been able to do that I'm a kid from Zimbabwe, for crying out loud, you know? And so I'm just grateful for it. Just being grateful for all the experiences and taking it one day at a time and just to soak it in. But I never stopped dreaming big, and I'm still dreaming big. I got big things to accomplish, you know? I got things coming up that I'm excited about, you know? So we keep thriving, you know? Either you stay green as you're growing, or you ripen and you're dying. And I'm not ready to ripen and die yet. I'm still green and growing, you know?
Yeah, I do. And I love that. So what are those big things? Like what can we expect to see from you in the next little bit? What should we look forward to? What's coming? What should we, you know, I know you have a couple shows coming up. And so what's next for you?
I can't say much about the details or the network, but we are working on a special. So be on the lookout for that. Yes.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why I'm out here working. And I'm on tour right now, you know, all over the place, doing a lot of different cities and countries as well. So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite place that you've performed, like a city or a country that the energy just was, you wish you could have that again?
Man. The Caribbean islands are crazy. You know, I've done Jamaica and I've done St. Martin Islands. I've done St. Martin Islands twice. And every time I've been there, it's just been ridiculous. You know, Nigeria is right up there, too. They give you energy. Uganda, my gosh.
Love it.
Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, it's crazy. I have so many different places, right? Yeah. Where the energy's just been, you know, amazing. So I love it. I really love what I'm doing. I owe comedy a lot. And it's loving me back right now. Yeah. And I appreciate that for it, you know?
Good. And enjoy every moment of it. And lastly, where can people find you?
Okay. So I'm on, you know, all the social media platforms. And my handles are very simple. It's Alfred Kainga. It's ALFREDKAINGA. They can also find me on ChristianMingle.com, IndiansForAfricans.com. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That last one, I'm very curious about, actually.
I don't know if it's there or not. You know, I might have heard about it, but I don't know.
Yeah. But I love that. Okay, well, we'll also post this when your episode comes out, and we're gonna keep looking out for you and what's coming next. I love going on your socials. You have really funny things. You know, you have your little bit that you do when you're drinking your coffee, little coffee moment thoughts that come up. So adorable. And so just keep doing that, man. We need to laugh. We need that in this world. Thank you for you know, making your way to North America and listening to your friends. I hope those friends that got you into comedy, I really hope that they're still connected with you because of them.
Very much so.
Look at where you are. Like, that's a huge thing that they got you into it.
It really is very much. So they were able to identify it and encourage me to take, a path, and here we are. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.